Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin from Florals.com, and today I'm doing a fun sort of card series I want to start where I pull out a few things and then we see what type of card I can create. So I won't show you the whole process in real time, but it'll be sped up as I try to solve how I'm going to use these items to create a card. Now I need a birthday card for a special someone coming up, so I pulled out the MFT Berry Special Birthday Set. I also pulled out this Bow Bunny Summer Mood Collection 6x6 paper pad, which I haven't played with a lot yet. And I also have these really old Pretty Little Studio gold foiled birthday stickers. So I figured I would have to challenge myself to use all of these. It's almost like a grab 5 except for a card, and then see where it takes me. I have some ideas, but I want to do something that's more complex and creative since this is a special birthday card. But I'm going to get started and we'll start doing the voiceover in the sped up version and we'll see where it takes us. And let me know if you guys like this idea and would like to see me continue doing it for cards. That way you guys can see me making cards sort of start to finish, but without a lot of direction to begin with, because sometimes it's really hard to sit down and make a card, and hopefully my thought process will help you guys sit down and just make a card when you need to. So let's jump right in. We have our work cut out for ourselves today featuring this paper pad. I have been dying to work with this paper pad, and I think it's such a fun color scheme for some birthday cards, especially with this playful MFT stamp set, so I'm really excited to use them. I pulled out 3 papers, and these were not decided ahead of time. I simply just went through the 6x6 paper pad and pulled out 3 that caught my eye. I don't believe I end up using all 3, but I do use 2 of them. I also pulled out a distress paint, which was brand new to my stash, to try that out, some cardstock from my stash, and then a chunk of a black doily I had. So there's something kind of building in my mind. Here I'm starting to pull out some distress oxides that I want to use to color in the images I plan on stamping. I start off by getting picked raspberry, I pull out broken china and then mustard seed, and then I get some light browns for the bears for themselves. So we're starting off with a neutral sort of primary color palette. So we have the blue, pink, and yellow, sort of like CMYK there. And I'm pulling out some different images. Now I want a bear on the inside and on the outside. I wasn't sure which one where, but I did want at least 2 bears. I've been finishing off the insides of my cards lately with stamped images and such, and it's been working out very, very well. And due to the sliding nature of my arm in that first stamping, I had to redo it. A little bit annoying, but it's easier to press down on your stamp presses than to slide around like I did. I think my hinges might need to be tightened. I'm not 100% sure why it can move around so much, but straight down pressing works out best for that. So here I'm cleaning them off. I know a lot of people have been asking me how I like my chamois so far, and that's the one I picked up at the dollar store a little while back, a couple months ago at least. And I've been loving it lately. Now there are some times where the fibers will come off of it, but if it's wet enough, the fibers don't come off. So you just want to make sure you're working with a wet chamois instead of a dry one. So you'll see me spritz it with water a ton because it does dry out very easily. I'm stamping all of my images with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It's my preferred ink for watercoloring, and of course you can always emboss your images if you're more comfortable watercoloring with those higher lines. I don't like embossing because of how messy it is, and I'm talking about heat embossing. But sometimes I do it. It just really depends on the image. For more like detailed images, it's much nicer to keep the color in spots. But I find that for simple images like these, where the lines are pretty far apart and there's not too many small areas, I find that I can make it work. So I'm just using an acrylic block. This one happens to be from Stampin' Up, and it's one of my favorites. And using the Distress ink in the color Tea Dye, I'm coloring the bear's fur simply with just some water and some ink. So I'm just swishing those around onto the block. I do accidentally put a little bit too much just ink on his face there, so I have to do a lot of work to try to get that off and blend it out a little bit better. But I'm going from lighter to darker, or from darker to lighter, so darker on the left-hand side on all of the images and for all of the items in the images. So that way the global lighting within the actual scene will match across the whole area. So I just do that for the rest of the items. And if you guys would like more of the coloring left in, let me know. I know that some of you are very skilled colorists, so you don't need as much time to view the idea that I'm working on, but some people are newer and they might want a little bit more. But I'm just doing a simple watercoloring technique in this video. So once all of those were done and I used those 4 inks, I let them dry and cut them out with my Cutter Bee scissors. I did that off camera because I hate cutting at my desk. I find that it doesn't let me relax and let me move the scissors around like I want. And here you can sort of see the image building there. It's a little bit off screen. I do try to zoom in when I'm making cards, and sometimes I forget about that, so I apologize. I'm simply taking this pinwheel paper and cutting it 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Actually, I cut it a little bit smaller than that so I can do a small border edge. So that way I have a white border across the whole card. So this is actually 4 by 5 1/4 with a black small border. That way there's a nice little rim of white from the original card base there as well. And then this beautiful pink polka dot, which has like a watercolor feel to it, which really helps blend in the watercolor images to make it feel like a cohesive piece, I believe is 3 by 4 1/4. And then the black doily fits perfectly on there. And you'll see that I'm taking the second set of balloons that I'd colored and tucking underneath the first set of balloons, so it looks like my bear is holding 3 balloons, or at least standing in front of other balloons. And I thought that was kind of a fun idea to use those balloons in that way. And here I realized that one of the edges on my paper that I'd cut were not straight, so I retrimmed that and then matted that with black paper as well. If you find that your pattern papers are blending in a lot together, you should definitely try to separate them with either a white border, a black border, or maybe a coordinating colored cardstock. It would help your different pattern papers pop off the background of your other pattern papers you chose for your card. Here I went with black instead of white simply because of the black doily. I didn't want that to be the only black object on this card. I'm using ATG tape today to adhere my card together. There are several types of adhesive you could use. If you are using liquid adhesive, I would recommend using very little so your papers do not warp, but it depends what type of liquid adhesive you're using and what type of paper you are using. So just be careful when you're trying out some new ideas. Maybe do some test papers first. I also grabbed this yellow polka dot washi tape from my stash and put a little strip there. I thought that'd be a fun addition to add some more yellow to the card. And then there's that pretty little studio letter sticker that I said I wanted to use. I'm trying to get the little bits out of the center of the letters, which is always a tricky task with stickers, but that will simply rest right beneath the bear there. So I'm going to glue everything down. When I do watercolor images, if I'm not using watercolor paper, for instance, this is Neenah Solar Crest white paper that I watercolored with because my watercolor paper was MIA, I decided to use ATG adhesive again. Sometimes if you use liquid glue, that is, with watercolored items, it can often drip the color through the paper to the other side and kind of give a weird warped look. Now we're moving on to the inside of the card. I'm stamping a double sentiment here, and you'll see I got extra ink there, so I want to make sure I don't mess this up. And it says surprise sending birthday bear hugs, which is cute because of the adorable bear that I have popping out of a present, and then of course the bear pun. Who doesn't love a bear pun? So I'm going to put these matching bears on the inside of the card, and then that's practically it. I do add some enamel dots after the fact that I'd found, which are from Whimsy Stamps, and I find some yellow ones also from Freckled Fawn that I think work perfectly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this card. I have some close-up shots at the end. Let me know what you think of this new series called Card Concoctions. I came up with the name after I did the live intro, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and be sure to subscribe if you'd like more card videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!